Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first conversation in our Road to Get Forum LinkedIn Live series. As digital transformation moves forward, people expect more from the public services, and they want them to be simple, secure, easy to use, and responsive to their needs. And the Inter-American Development Bank, our mission is to improve lives in Latin America and the Caribbean. And one way we do this is by helping the governments deliver better services for people. And while at IDB Lab, we support innovations that promotes inclusion and productivity across the same region. We work as the innovation and venture arm of the IDB group. So one question we ask is how we can bring private sector innovation to support governments into the delivery of services that are easier to access, more effective, and more trusted. Today, we are bringing these two perspectives together. This session is co-hosted by IDB Lab and the Division on Institutional Capacity of the State at the Inter-American Development Bank, and the conversation is also being amplified through Implementalac, the IDB community of practice that connects more than 7,000 public officials across Latin America and the Caribbean. This is important because no single organization can build the anticipatory state alone. Public institutions understand citizen needs, public responsibilities, and how government works, while at the same time, GovTech, entrepreneurs, technology providers bring new ideas and solutions to the long-standing public challenges that we know. By bringing these two perspectives together, we can create the public services of the future, so that are centered on the people, practical, secure, and trusted. Today, the conversation is titled The Anticipatory State, How Data and AI Can Reshape the Public Services and Trust on Them. And we will explore one central question. What if public services could anticipate people's needs instead of waiting for the citizens to start the process, navigate the processes that sometimes are complex for them? We will look at how data and AI can help the governments understand and respond to the citizens' needs, and also how the whole ecosystems, the different actors, can support the region in this transformation. This connects with the discussions that we will have at Get Forum 2026 in October, that will explore, among other topics, how trust, resilience, or safeguards can support innovation while keeping the services secure, inclusive, and worth of the confidence of the citizens. To help explore these questions, I am very happy to welcome Paula Acosta and Gustavo Maia. Paula Acosta is the Chief of the Institutional Capacity of the State here at the IDB in the Institutions for Development sector. And Paula brings especially the public sector and institutional perspectives, so she can help us understand how the governments can build their capacity, improve public services, and turn new possibilities into better results for citizens. While Gustavo Maia is the founder and CEO of Collab. Collab is a leading GovTech platform in Latin America. He's also the author of Zero Click Government, also the co-founder of the Zero Click Government Institute, a member of the World Economic Forum Global Future Council on GovTech, and also she's also a member of the advisory board at KPTL. KPTL is the first VC fund focused on GovTech in Latin America. So he brings the whole perspective of GovTech and innovation, and he will help us understand what's a proactive or zero-click government look like in practice, what technology can already make this possible, and the role of entrepreneurs. So thank you, Paula and Gustavo, for joining us and bring us these two different but essential perspectives. So without further ado, I would like to start with Gustavo and ask him, considering the work that he has been doing with the zero-click government approach and institute, when we talk about anticipatory state or the zero-click government, what are we actually describing? What is the difference with traditional approaches to the public service delivery and from the digital government initiatives that we have been discussing for years? Thank you.
Hi, Natalia. Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you to the IDB and BitLab for this talk. And to answer your question, maybe I should start not talking about anticipatory government, but actually how the state was built and mainly functions, which is a reactive kind of government. This is not because the government doesn't want to anticipate stuff, but most of the times, because of the way the state was built, basically what we have is we have a state that builds up public policies and then waits for the citizen to ask for help, and the citizen basically has to understand um, if the person is eligible for a service, for example, what is the ask that the person needs to do, and this person basically goes to the state and starts um, writing forms to ask for something, right? So basically, if Natalia needs something from the state, Natalia needs to find out which agency or department she needs to go to ask for help, and then go there and start filling forms and asking for something. After that, the state will basically run that inside and come back to Natalia saying, hey, you are eligible for something. Here is the service that you have. But now with the digital public infrastructure that we have, the data that the state is collecting about people, maybe we are right now in a very different time where the state will be able to change the timing of the state. And because of knowing everything that the state knows about us, why not thinking of a state that is proactive? Maybe Natalia doesn't need to go to the state and fill up forms anymore, but the state can actually understand what Natalia's needs are, run that data, and actually be proactive, saying, hey, Natalia, you know what? You are eligible for this benefit, for example, and then bring it proactively to the citizen by messaging this person and sometimes even getting the service done to that person. These changes, although it is supported by technology, this is not about technology. Actually, the technology is like how we are being able to do it right now. But it's actually a thing around transforming the government completely. We have been digitalizing a lot of the state for the past 25 years, and that's great. But basically, what we were doing was bringing the papers to online forms. But now, with AI and with digital public infrastructure, we can change this timing of the state. And just that's what I've been calling I've been calling zero click government, which is like the when we are talking about the academic life, we are talking about anticipatory government, and sometimes the market also talks about proactive government. This is all together this new kind of action of the state.
No, thank you, Gustavo. I think that we are making it very clear that this is not like something like it's a huge change, but it's something that is possible now, consider the technology that we have. And that way of working of the past was responding also not only wasn't like something that was stubborn, it's like it was responding of the times that we were living. So the idea that is here is simple in terms that if we have the technology, we have the information, why we can use this in order to serve in a different way.
Natalia, just a quick thing. And a good thing about this zero click government is that we can actually fight against inequality. And that's why it's so important for Latin American and Caribbean states, because people who needs the most are the ones that doesn't know how to even get to write down or fill up a form to ask for something, or it's very hard, and there's a lot of thing about administrative burden, which is the people that needs the most, they don't know how to go through the burden of trying to understand the state, to request for something. When we're thinking about a zero-click government, actually, we are trying to deliver more public services for those who needs the most. So that's the best way of fighting inequality in our region.
Yeah. No, and it's not only for every day. It's also we think about disasters and disaster response because um, it's consider if you have an earthquake or a flood or whatever, like what we are seeing the situation in Venezuela and Colombia with earthquakes. So how the government can answer and understand who has been affected, how they need to reach them instead of changing the relationship that these people in that situation that is so complicated and with every minute matters, they need to reach out and understand to who they need to reach out and wherever. And so, and this gave me the opportunity to bring Paula to the conversation about how this is realistic and how is it more than realistic, how is the region progressing, because we have seen progress in terms of the agendas of DPI, interoperability, and others. So I want to take advantage of your knowledge of the region in order to understand how much progress we have made, where we are moving faster, in which sectors, and which are the gaps that are remaining there.
Thank you, Natalia, and thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you and with Gustavo and with everyone who's watching. Um, yes, this is already happening in the region. This is not something that might happen in the future where we have this application of AI that will make everything possible. No, this is something that is already happening and it's happening in different degrees. This is not one or zero, I would say. And one of the good examples that I would like to bring is Chile's automated family subsidy. It meets all of the requirements for an anticipatory service. The state uses the social registry of households, verifies eligibility, and grants the benefit without the family having to apply. In addition, the renewal can occur for 3 years without a new application or the submission of documents. But there are other countries in the region that are doing different programs with this approach. We have Chile, of course, Costa Rica, Colombia, and the Dominican Republic recently established a decree with a comprehensive strategy for the provision of services in a proactively way. This does not mean that everything works perfectly, but it means that governments are working towards that end. In the case of Colombia that you just mentioned, there is this good example of a program where people that has been on an emergency, like the earthquake that we recently suffered, do not need to apply for one of the benefits if they're registered in the area that suffered the most. Uruguay has shown also how proactive outreach and digital tools can increase the uptake of preventive health services. For example, screening for cervical cancer with strong results. AI can accelerate this transformation enormously, but anticipatory government is not the same as AI because there's a lot of interoperability of data that you can use already and that can allow you to be more proactive and anticipate the needs of your citizens. The challenge is to move from successful examples and leading countries to systematic, reliable, and scalable anticipatory countries. So the question is how we move from success programs to a scale. And we all know that we need to work on the enabling conditions. The gap is still very large. When you compare the data from the region with the OECD regarding the Digital Government Index, with about half. But there is one special area that is the proactivity dimension that is the weakest for all the region. The gap becomes even clearer when you view through 3 dimensions where we are and where we need to move. One is the people. The IDB research surveyed around 23,000 citizens in 11 countries, and this survey shows that 7 out of 10 citizens completed a government procedure during the previous year, but only 14 completed the procedure fully online, while 48% completed it entirely in person. Digital use, as you were mentioning, Gustavo, is sharply unequal. 29% among people that uses these services has tertiary education, compared with only 7% among people with primary education or less. And 1 in 5 citizens feels unprepared for basic digital tasks. Among older adults, that rises to 43%. For most citizens, the experience of government is still not digital, much less anticipatory. An anticipatory state, therefore, has to be inclusive and omnichannel. Digital capabilities should make the state work better for everyone and not create a new barrier. When we move to the second area, that is data and digital infrastructure, governments still struggle, but there are also progress. Reliable identification is the foundation of anticipatory public services. Government must know who their citizens are and be able to reach and authenticate them securely to anticipate their needs. Several countries have achieved substantial scale, and I want to mention some examples. Brazil's GovTech has more than 173 million users registered. Mi Argentina has 26 millions, and Chile Clave Única reaches approximately 16 million people. Together, these systems demonstrates that population scale digital identity is achievable in the region. Nevertheless, according to the latest estimate, 1 in every 20 people lacks any form of identification, whether physical or digital. Regarding interoperability, 360 data of Uruguay was conceived precisely as an infrastructure to build proactive public services. This is great, but there's only 9 countries in the region that have national data strategy and only 12 countries that have interoperability platforms. The last one is the institutional dimension, and technology is moving faster than the institutional capacity. Around 75% of government's procedures can be completed in line in the European Union, compared to only 30% in Latin America and the Caribbean, and only 25% of public managers, digital government experts, and civil servants had received technology or computing training during the previous year. And we all have to study AI to try to keep up on what the technology is moving. So we have islands of anticipatory government in the region. The challenge now is to build anticipatory states. This is a fundamentally a state modernization and a state effectiveness agenda. It is not only the technology. You need to build all of these different pieces. And the consequences, if we're able to succeed, goes far beyond the technology.
No, thank you so much, Paula, because you have bring a lot of data points that give us the context in where we are right now in Latin America, how this is taking shape, how it's happening across the region. And you have made 2 statements very clear. While we are using digital identity, data, the social registries are working, how we make them respond to the citizens, because we are still have a lot of citizens that they don't have the most basic form of ID. And so less a digital ID. And this is not an agenda only about technology, it's about making inclusion, creating inclusion and creating more possibilities for the development of the citizens. I love the concept of islands of anticipatory government. And in this agenda, how we are going to build those foundations to create this a possibility not only for those islands, but for everyone. And that makes me also connect with your reflection about inclusion, and how we make this scale, how we make how we make these services trusted, because I imagine that a lot of people prefer to go in person to fill the form in paper, because they also can reach out to a friend or another employee, a public servant that maybe can help or give them some insights about how to fill the form. So that brings me to how we can make those government services trusted, how we make the families not only trust about what they are going to receive, make more transparent the decisions that are behind, but also how they are going to use their data, which kind of data they are going to cross, what are the rules that are behind in terms of security, governance, transparency, and all the things that happen behind.
I think that you touch a very important point here, Natalia. And when you think about anticipatory government, it's not about the technology. It is a fundamental shift, as Gustavo was saying, in the relationship between the state and the citizen. And in my personal experience, and what we've seen in the studies, is that people trust governments when it delivers services and goods efficiently. What we see is that today the burden is on the citizen. Gustavo explained it very well. Anticipatory governments turns that logic around. If government already has information that I'm eligible for this benefit or for a pension, why should I have to prove it again? If government knows that my family may qualify for support after a climate emergency and you're in the middle of an emergency, why should I have to identify the right agency and start an application from scratch? If the health system knows that I'm due for a screening, why should I wait for me to remember? Instead of asking citizens to navigate the state should navigate its own complexity on behalf of the citizens. And we all know that states are very complex. This is the fundamental shift from reactive to proactive and from institution centered to citizen centered. Government adapts to citizens rather than requiring citizens to adapt to governments. But there are a few things that I would like to bring to the discussion: trust, choice, and accountability. Anticipation cannot become paternalism. Government can take the initiative without taking away citizens' agency. Citizens should understand why governments is contacting them, what information is being used, what is being offered, and what choices do they have. Government should take the initiative, but citizens should retain the choice. And I also have a very good example that we supported at the IDB. And I think that this becomes especially important as AI enters public decision making. So we sponsor a survey with 18,000 people across 17 countries and found that attributing a negative public sector decision to AI, like not being eligible for a program, was perceived more negatively than when a human makes the same decision. Fewer than 8% of the people surveyed preferred AI deciding alone. And across all of the domains tested, citizens generally prefer technology and officials working together. Because you, as a public servant, needs to remain accountable of that decision. And I think that is quite interesting. The other example that I want to bring is the Uruguay case. An IDB-supported intervention used proactive outreach and digital scheduling tool to increase cervical cancer screening. The government did not decide for the citizens. It anticipated a barrier, reduced the friction, and left the decision with the individual. So basically, it reminded that needs to have an appointment for this screening, and it identified the potential places where that citizen can attend the appointment. And that is a model that is proactive contacting the person, an easy next step, but the choice remains with the citizen. So just to close up, I believe that the promise of an anticipatory government is not that government knows more about citizens. We already know that government knows a lot about us. Is that citizens have to do less work to access the state. That is what state effectiveness should mean. A state that adapts itself to people's needs rather than asking people to adapt themselves to the state. And I think that is a great work to build trust between citizens and governments.
Yeah. No, this is great examples and how we move, no, from one area to the other, but also respecting what the citizens need and want, because sometimes what we think they need is not exactly what they want and how they want to be consulted, and what the decisions they want to still have in their hands to make. I want to go back to Gustavo and change a little bit the topic, because as you know, IDB Lab is a venture arm, and considering your experience in different parts of the GovTech entrepreneurial ecosystems, I want to bring you to the conversation about how we can actually make it happen, and especially how we can involve the GovTech entrepreneurs in this topic. How is realistic for the startups to participate in these new ways of working, or no new ways, but this other way or approach.
Thank you, Natalia. And actually, just going back a little bit to say that I agree completely with Paula on actually how an anticipatory government and an anticipatory state, we will build more trust with the citizen, because we are bringing the burden not to the citizen anymore, but to the government actually, who actually knows a lot about us already. But then moving forward to your question right now. So now I think we are, because of the technology that we have now, we are in an inflection time actually, of using data, using AI to make people's lives better. I strongly understand and think that the GovTech market needs to bring those technology more into the government, but not only building chatbots, using AI to build chatbots, for example. This is good. It actually can help people. It's better to have an AI responding quicker to questions that the citizen have than waiting for someone just to answer something for the citizen. But we are talking about actually using AI to orchestrate a little bit better the state. And now we are talking about improving education and social assistance. And when we are talking about our region, that changes completely, because we are thinking about an orchestration layer of the state that is actually bringing public services for those who needs the most. So actually delivering, understanding the benefits that the person is eligible for, and actually already delivering that to the person who needs the most. So there are a lot of opportunities in this market. And there's one thing about our region that is special. It is that you have innovation. Innovation always comes from the place that you need the most. Innovation doesn't come from the place that everybody already has everything. So our region is the best for that. And while I was writing the book that you mentioned, this is the book actually. Zero. Oh, I don't know if you can see it, but I will ask people to put the link of the institute here, because what we are trying to discuss there is how we can deliver more for those who needs the most. And in the GovTech scenario, we have a lot of opportunities in our region. Actually, I believe that the Global South is the best for us to actually start bringing this complete change of the government and the state because of AI and digital public infrastructure.
No, thank you so much. And I think this is a great way to starting to close our session today. And the need that we need is that the opportunities are there, and it's not about adopting more technology, it's creating the foundations and the infrastructures that we need in order to be able to have more opportunities to learn and scale solutions that improve people's lives. So I would like to just make the last question for both of you, and considering that this is a session that links to the Get Forum 2026, I want you to complete this sentence as an invitation. This is come to Get Forum 2026. If you want to complete the sentence, what do you think, Paula?
If you want to bring together governments that understand the problems and need innovators that can help solve them. We know that governments cannot do it alone. We need people that think different that think out of the box, that can create different ways to relate. So I would love to see lots of innovators thinking about public problems, because public problems are everyone's problems.
Thank you. What about you, Gustavo?
Um, I think that if you really want to fight inequality and change people's lives, bringing positive impacts to millions of people, you should be in this conversation, because we are now in a time that everything is changing because of the technology that we have. And through the governments, that's where we are going to have the most and biggest impact to people's lives. So if you want to improve people's lives, and actually for those who needs the most, please come with us to this conversation.
Thank you, Paula, Gustavo. Thank you very much for the conversation today. The time was very short. We have covered from government, data, AI, technologies, how to be proactive, easier access. But the message was clear. Technology is not enough. We need capability from the institutions, governance, collaboration with the ecosystem, and build public trust. So in order to create real solutions for the public problems that we have in the region, and I include everyone and growth responsible. The conversation will continue at Get Forum 2026 in Quito, Ecuador, from October 5th to 7th, including a session where Gustavo and Paula will be participating, titled No Trust, No Transformation, Rethinking Digital Security for Inclusive Growth. There we will explore why digital security, institutional capacity, and collaborations are essential to innovation that can scale. So thank you, everyone connected today, and Paula and Gustavo for being the speakers today. And I will see you, I hope, see you, many of you, at Get Forum. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.